All right, everyone, we are here with two very special guests. We are joined by Rachel and Gabby, this season's past two Bachelorettes. You're not the Bachelorettes anymore, but this season
ready to be
this season has
former, you can say now.
Former Bachelorettes.
I love that.
Yes. The two former Bachelorettes. The season ended last night. We saw the finale. It was 3 hours long. A lot to unpack. But thank you guys for being here. Very excited to talk it all out. And Gabby, I'm excited to get like a in person.
Yeah.
There we go. Perfect. It's like
now
when
they need no. Yeah.
It's like when you hear the actor say their line. That's what that felt like. But thank you guys so much for joining us. I'm sure you guys have been through a lot. You've heard a lot of opinions, even from us. Yeah. So thank you guys for coming in and talking to us.
Thanks for
absolutely.
having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
We're excited.
How are you just feeling emotionally? This is a quick turnaround. You guys came from LA to New York. You're immediately doing press. How do you guys feel?
That's a very loaded question.
Yeah.
What note do you want to start on? I feel like I literally haven't even woken up. Like it's all just been a day.
I can't tell my head from my butt.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah. I feel like it's incredibly stressful coming out of the show, especially when it's hard because you're so used to watching the show and the viewer is like, oh, this happened months ago. And then they throw you with a live show and you have to adjust to being like, no, this is happening right now. This is live. What was your reaction to how the live show went?
It was just insane.
You take it away.
Yeah, honestly.
I guess, unfortunately, Rachel has a little bit more drama than Gabby does.
I know. Last week I was up on stage like the full time, and then this week I'm up there like, and normally I feel like that's not how it goes. Normally, like in this situation, Tino would have been up there, so it was just a lot of like me having to sit up there and relive everything for the first time. I hadn't seen the proposal, and I knew what was coming after, and I lived both, but when you're in the moment, both of them were so emotional that like I could barely remember what happened. So it was like truly reliving it for the first time, and then all of a sudden he's in front of me. So yeah, definitely very emotional on my end, but very happy for Gabby.
Yeah.
How much time was in between the conversation that we saw unfold between you and Tino versus getting on the stage last night? And I think I could speak for everybody that watching that conversation at the house that you guys were at was wildly uncomfortable. So I'm sure for you it was even more uncomfortable, and I think that a lot of us wanted to like jump through the screen. I think I tweeted this and like shake Tino and be like, what is the answer here? So how much time had passed in between all of that?
Is it over a month? It happened at like Men Tell All.
Yeah, so over a month.
When we filmed that. So then I found out, yeah.
When we first interviewed you guys, were you still together with Tino?
Yeah, it was in the beginning.
It was right when it was like the day the episode premiered.
But that is kind of when we were in New York doing press. That is where we started.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, but we were together. Yeah. I mean, from my knowledge, we were together the whole time. But I mean, that's also controversy
that's a different
as
story.
well. So yeah.
Did you feel like he was trying to kind of, I don't even know, expose you in some way? Like it felt like he had, he said, yes, I kissed somebody else. And then every time it was like, yes, I did this. It was, but
you did this.
There was all these other things. And did it feel like because it felt like he was so close to saying something that would have been really bad and he didn't. So it was just kind of like, where did I don't even know how to phrase this. Where did the like emotion come from on his end? Like how obviously you guys were fighting for a while is what was going on before. Never excuses cheating. That's like a absolutely ridiculous argument
no matter
to make.
Like how bad of the fight is or whatever.
My question is, did you feel like he was going to say something that was perhaps crossing a line?
Well, I mean, it's such a loaded question. I think when you are kind of living this or on top of this lie for so long that you have time to prepare and you have time to think about, okay, how am I going to go in and phrase this? Whereas you're watching me hear like stuff for the first time, and there was a conversation on the phone when he initially, I want to say, told me. I was like yanking it out of this man. But initially, like, we had this conversation on the phone, hung up, and then we're like, okay, we need to like be in person for the rest of this. So when I got there, I'm like, I need answers. I need to know timelines. I need to know when things started. Like, I think everyone is owed that regardless of fighting or what you did. You could be broken up. You're still owed those answers because there is an engagement. It's still playing out on TV. And it just is a level of respect as well. So I think, like, I mean, Gabby was there as well. It's like you think you're going to get an answer. You think you're going to have this, like, revelation, but then he would, like, say something else. So it was super frustrating. You could see him getting frustrated, me getting frustrated, so it was just a mess.
I couldn't quite tell like his intention or what angle he wanted to take. I think he tried so many to see what would stick, and then nothing stick. It was just like confusing to watch.
And I think Caitlin Bristow actually said that during the live show last night. She was like, I think we saw like 8 different personalities come out of Tino last night, because I do think he was trying to find which angle he wanted to play it. Did he want to play the I'm really sorry, or you know, I feel bad that I did this, I was wrong, but hey, you did this, and it seemed like there was an inner battle.
If he could commit to the sorry. We were like, he's gonna crawl in here, beg for you back, game's
fall
gonna be
on the
over.
sword, be like, I messed up,
and then he didn't.
If he did that, if he came in and he were like, and you truly felt that he was so sorry from the bottom of his heart, and he spoke, you know, intelligently to you and made you feel like, I am really so sorry for what I did, and I will never hurt you again, do you think you would have given it another shot?
It's so hard with this question because it really was not even a day from when I found out to when we're in person. And my head was just spinning. In one part, you're numb, you're like angry, but then you're sad. And I'm like, I just need to know what happened and where is the timeline, because it does matter. And it isn't just a kiss in a bar. It is so emotional and intimate, and so many things that transpire to the kiss. So I needed to get that information before I could.
There was texting and there was other things involved.
And you also, like, you know, people talk about...
It was intentional. Like, it was...
cheating and having those...
fall on someone else's face.
And almost like protecting her as well. Like, it really did feel like she was the one being protected. So it was just like, I need to get in front of him. I had no thoughts in my brain. And I think anyone who has been cheated on can relate to that. I mean, women like just fly off the handle when they hear that. It's like you can't comprehend it.
And I do think, like, a lot of times you can have those conversations happen in private, but you guys were engaged at that point, but you still really did not know each other for that long. So it's like you're going through the emotions of, have these last 6 months, is this even really the guy that I knew? Like, there's a lot I would think you have to go through your mind. And the craziest part of this to us too was him showing up with that notebook.
I know.
And we were like, was he taking notes?
I thought he was gonna like read me a poem.
I don't think I've ever seen anything like that in my entire life of a significant other taking notes.
It was like, yes, I kissed,
to use against you.
Like,
why else
someone,
would you take
but here's
notes?
all the things that you said to me. What?
Like, and so out of context.
And kind of feels like icky to be like, so we were having conversations on the phone, and while we were having conversations on the phone, it's like I have this notebook in front of me, and I'm like,
and it's not even that. It's they were so out of context. It's like, well, you said this. Well, let's talk about why. Okay. And then once we would talk about it, then you would move on to the next thing. It's like, so how many points are we going to hit until you're finally going to tell me what happened, or what's like, we're running in circles. And then I would hit a point, and then he'd be like, well, I have to go outside. It's like, so are you going to go think? Or I'm just like, it was confusing. And then I couldn't have a full conversation. So how am I supposed to make any sort of decision when I'm sitting there feeling like I'm going absolutely insane?
And I think that came through. I think it was very frustrating. You could tell you were frustrated. He was all over the place. I couldn't even imagine just being like, just give me the straight answer. We know you kissed, but like when, why, what happened here? Throughout the season.
And I'm sorry, I'm just gonna, but the fact that he sat down and was like, do you want to start? It was like, no, what?
No, you're in trouble.
You should be groveling right now.
Exactly. Or then he would just be like, well, are we together or not? Are we together or not? And I'd be like,
let's talk about it. I don't even know anything
And when
yet.
he was like, why can't she just break up with me? Well, why don't you have the balls to break up with her then? Like, my thought process was like, if you're saying, why doesn't she just break up with me? Why can't you just break up with her then?
And
that's
just,
nothing
like,
against you. It's just like,
be
a man and be like, listen, I don't want to be with you, and you would have probably respected that more than, oh, you break up with me, whatever. During the season, did you because there was a lot of conversation around this and we even talked about it. Did you feel like if you didn't get engaged, it would be kind of seen as like a failure in this process?
I don't know if we cared about well, like necessarily with the proposal wise, like I had my own like doubts of being like, you know, in a role, but engagement wise, we came in this so honest with them. We are ready for this part of our life. We want to have this partner with us who commits to us, and people are investing like how many weeks of their life. They don't want to just have you walk out with this long-term boyfriend, and we don't want just a long-term boyfriend. And so it was just something we've been really honest that is really important to us, and it just has to do with commitment more than it has to do with a ring or whatever people think it is at the end, because it's hard work.
I think it's just more of a symbol, and the process is grueling. You have to be so honest, and you really, the whole thing is laid out so you shed your layers so fast so you can bond faster and better for a longer lasting relationship. Like if I just wanted a boyfriend, I mean, I would just like hit the streets again, tried it for 31 years, didn't work out. But also like there's something about the stakes being a little higher. I think that is enticing and why people go on and why people watch.
Your ring is beautiful, by the way.
Gorgeous.
It is really gorgeous.
Pay for it.
I will say I did notice that it looked like Neil Lang kind of stepped up his game a little bit.
Yeah, because of us.
Okay, good. I was like,
more with the times. The ring is with like
classic golden band.
That is my type of ring, like the golden band.
Yes.
Oh my God, I can hold it.
Yeah.
Try it on.
She runs out the door. I'm like, tackles.
Wow. This room is far too small for us to get out of here.
I'm not gonna fully put it on, but like I love the way that looks. This is like Hailey Bieber's ring. Have you seen hers? It's like the gold band.
Oh, it's got the halo. I think.
Yeah.
That is stunning.
It has a hidden halo, and then it has one here too.
Yeah. It is beautiful. It is beautiful. I mean, it's the pressures of the engagement. It did feel, I think for the viewer, we started to get really frustrated with Tino at a certain point in the last couple weeks. And of course, you know, things are edited and framed different ways and whatnot. You know, the producers obviously knew that things had taken a turn for you guys. And Avon had looked like he's here, but he's just not ready to make that commitment. And that's where you guys had that disconnect. This is another loaded question, but do you now kind of maybe regret sending him home at that point because he wasn't ready for the engagement, but maybe the connection there was better?
It's so crazy. Like I said, watching myself back, it's insane how much you learn, because I could see exactly what he was saying to me. But at the time, I was like, he's trying to get out of this. He just told my friend this. He told me something else. He's trying to get out. He's trying to pull this out from underneath me.
And I think that's what we saw as viewers. We were like...
And I could see the wall go up on my face. We're sitting on that bench. I saw it. And I'm like, why didn't I just like...
You just didn't want to hear anything he was saying. You were just like angry at the situation.
And when I sat down too with him.
That late, because it's like, how'd you make it this far without having the conversation? I think that was my thing.
And it was just the fact that my friends found out first. That really was it. And we did talk about it, and people are allowed to change their mind. It just felt so like shocking to me. And then as soon as that wall went up, like it was so hard to like, I could see it happening. So it is hard to watch back, because he wasn't saying like, Rachel, I'm not gonna get down on one knee in a couple days, like let's just be on the same page, like am I the only one here, like, and I couldn't see it. I'm like, well, you don't want to get engaged. And it's hard to watch back because I could see exactly what he meant.
He did really care about you.
He did.
And I think, like you said, I think I think everybody watching was like, Rachel, you're not listening to what he's saying.
Me, but like, in the moment,
like he's so clearly saying how much he loves you and cares about you, but it was like the blinders went up and you were like, I am not going to listen to a thing this man has to say. But you know, I think everything happens for a reason, and clearly you had to realize that it wasn't going to work out with Tino. Now, Avon appeared on the stage last night, and there was a very mixed reaction all around about this. And I think even I have gone back and forth in my head on what I think about it, because when we talked about it last night, I was like, I think Rachel needs to take time to heal and like fully process everything that happened before you jump. You do your own thing, but this is what I said.
You're like, if you want to know,
this is not about it. I'm just saying, I'm being honest.
Let me put my therapist hat on.
I'm just being honest about what I said on our after show, and I was like, I think it would be great for her to heal and like process everything that happened, and then be like, okay, I'm ready to date Avon now. I'm sorry, I'm ready to see where this goes.
Definitely. Yeah, no, I agree. I have been healing so much. Watching this back has been so like cathartic in a way of watching myself make these mistakes and learning. And I mean, I have had obviously so much time since my breakup to heal. I definitely look forward to continuing on that trajectory to heal. Yeah. And I mean, even coming on stage last night really ultimately was just him showing his support for me and knowing that like it was going to be a really tough decision, and anything that happens after this, like it's going to be very organic and not rushed at all.
The more people said that it was to put a smile on your face, I got it more because I think
because
I think a lot of people and a lot of ex. You're all right?
Yeah.
No. Yeah. A lot of
no, I'm not.
A lot of the ex contestants and people who are very vocal about the show still had felt that was inappropriate. I think is what a lot he didn't know.
Avon on stage with Tino.
Avon didn't know that was going to happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he was upset about it. He never wanted that to happen, and he was not happy that there was a crossing on stage. There was no one's intention. I mean, so many things are happening at once. So I mean, ultimately, I just don't want there to be blame on like him or like it wasn't his intention.
Well, no, and I think people would assume that because there is a production value here, and it did
TV show.
It did kind of feel like a WWE moment. Like they were like, here comes it.
Yeah,
it's like he's gonna knock him out.
It did feel like at one point I was like, what the fuck are we watching? Like, seriously, like what is happening? This is so off the rails, but it was a lot to take in. And then of course, Gabby, we saw your proposal, and I was like, these cameras where they're showing their reaction, like you were smiling watching your proposal, versus Rachel, which you had a straight face and you were like, all right, you tried, Rachel, you tried.
I was like, that's the thing. What do they expect us to do though? If you're gonna have us on stage watching it, you can't not.
Yeah. So with your smile, I was like, okay, I think they're gonna be okay. Like I think this proposal is gonna work out. I think that you guys
had your ring on in the conversation with Rachel before they even showed the engagement.
I wondered if they did it on purpose.
I'm like, she was like, but you guys were engaged, and she's like,
I'm like, tell me what happened.
But you guys, honestly, I felt the love during this, like watching it and on the screen, and you guys looked so comfortable sitting next to each other. And when Eric joined the stage, and it was a really good kiss, and you guys, you could tell that like you have that strong connection. You guys have that bond, and then of course, you had your uncomfortable part as well, where they shared the text on the screen,
right?
And it was like, oh, we're really gonna do this.
Jump scared.
You said that you had known about the text before, and so were you anticipating when these texts came out? Were you like, oh, all right, it's happened, it's here, it's happening?
I told him he needs to buck up. He's
and
like, I'm afraid they're gonna leak. I'm like, no, they're gonna leak. So you need to prepare yourself on what you're gonna do after.
Loved what you said when you said, I mean, you were an asshole, but then you still support him, and like that's true love to me. Like you could call them out on their bullshit, but you're still like, I'm still going to support you and be by your side.
And that's how it was in the moment when he told me too. I'm like, honestly, like I'd be pissed too if I was her. I'd probably run to spoiler accounts trying to ruin your life too. I don't know. There's no saying. Like, I don't know. But yeah, I'm like, it's not actually like text messages or this or that. It's like character, how you treated her. But it was all before the show. You move on. He has been, our relationship is different. He's been good to me.
Yeah. And I do think like sometimes the past, when someone says like now the past is in the past, you guys have moved on in your relationship. I know. I think she said something after the live show along the lines of like, oh, she'll learn. Like it's like, okay, it's an unnecessary comment at that point.
And also absolutely. I'm like, will I?
And people's relationships are different. Like somebody could be bad in a relationship with somebody else, but then really good with you, depending on where their feelings lie.
That's
like
you feel a stronger.
He feels a stronger connection with you than he did with this girl, unfortunately.
Which is
and so
part
that's
of dating.
Normal. Yes.
You only end up with one person. You're going to go through many breakups. Do I, if that was the case, do I wish he could have told her straight out instead of ghosting her for a reality TV show? 100%. But he didn't.
That doesn't mean,
and there's nothing I can do about it.
And that doesn't mean he's going to do it to you. Like I think that's important. I think that people just immediately run with, oh, well, he did it to her, he's going to do it to you. Well, that's not necessarily the case. You guys have a different relationship.
Right. And one thing I will really commend him on is he's never defensive. Whenever we fight or get into arguments, like we don't actually fight, but just have a miscommunication, this stuff comes up. He's always like, you're right. I see what you're saying. I get it. He never tries to be like, well, this, you know. And I feel like that's a really good sign in a partner, that they're willing to work hard to be with you.
Yeah. And if you guys have these conversations behind the scenes, that's great too. I think you know, a lot of people were upset that the picture from high school wasn't brought up during the live show, and there are times when you're like, yes, that if you're gonna put up the text from the girlfriend, or not even a girl he dated, like then have that conversation also.
Yeah, but I said it's not even your thing to answer.
But that's what I said.
That's why I was
like,
I'm not right. Like that's not up to you. Like that was totally his thing. So we were saying like this isn't about Gabby.
Eric can speak on it, but Gabby doesn't have to answer for him.
Thank you. And I'm prepared to.
Right.
If you want me to.
No, no, because I don't think that's right to do to you, and I don't think that people should have to go to you and say, oh, you need to answer for what your fiance did. Like,
right. Well, and it's like I know like we're a team now and kind of united in that way. So obviously I had to think about it and be like, what is actually, you know, like how, where, and when did things go wrong, and how do we deal with it moving forward? So we've had lots of discussions. Like I think obviously there's no excuses. He should take accountability, and I don't like. It's not like, oh well, the conversation has switched gears because Tino's a cheater and like you know, things are like a different, but it's like that's not necessarily good for me, because obviously as a society we still need to be having these conversations. I don't want, for me it was like I think people thought I was shying away from the conversation, but like we were only just yesterday a couple. You know, nobody really knew if we were engaged or not, and this is my first opportunity to talk about it.
But, definitely. And I think, you know, it was a very long show, and it's just like we were like, how could have found a few minutes there, but
right. But between the first impression rose, whatever was happening there.
How would that take an hour?
I didn't see it. Oh, you guys didn't see that? That was a 45-minute ordeal.
I have no idea what happened.
They bring out five. They brought out 5 women. Zach met all of them. Jesse Palmer then asked him if he could remember any of their names. He couldn't remember any of their names.
That was we had like
I would have.
That was our thing.
I remember
one of them. It happens.
I wouldn't even judge, because you know when there's something so exciting happening.
I understand him not remembering. It was Jesse being like, "What's their names?"
And
then he was like,
"You're hot." That's what I remember.
But the Twitter voted for the girl they liked the most, and she got the first impression rose.
So does it carry over to the show?
Yeah, it does.
No way.
So now she's
oh my God, she's probably on top of the world.
Yeah, she was.
I would be so
really
wasted
cute.
night one if I already had the rose. I'm like, woo!
Yeah, I'm like, who are you guys?
I have the rose.
It doesn't matter.
Was your guys' first impression of the guys, did that stay true throughout the season? Like, did you have any sort of inkling that Eric was the one, or could be a strong contender as the one? And for you,
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, Rhea said Rachel and Tino are engaged after the
first episode. I said, I was like, they're engaged.
I think
I didn't foresee
Yes,
the other part, but I was like, they're definitely engaged.
I think with Tino though, it was like so much like confidence, and when someone's like, oh, you like basically like you like me, and then you're like, oh yeah, whatever, you know. So
it's like a man quality.
Yeah, it really it was definitely like him and I think Jordan V like were the two night one that I was like, these guys are really like blowing everyone out of the water in a way.
Opposite stories.
Literally. But so I don't know. I mean, it was never like I don't know. It's so confusing. You don't know right away.
Change and growth, I feel. I didn't give it to Eric because his head was so big.
So fair.
I'm like, this guy, no way, never, next. So
thank God for that after watching that.
I know. After his attitude on the first night where he wanted a rose from both of us.
He's like, I just want to stay.
You're actually so dead to me. I'm like, you did come from her for an opportunity. Like, get out of here.
That's so funny.
It is fun. And you know, we saw those final guys for you, Gabby, and it did feel like there were a lot of men that had this moment of like, oh my God, I'm on a TV show. And it was like, wait, you came on this show.
That's my life. My picker's off.
And
I like
I would agree with mine. Yeah. Clearly, I'm not making good decisions.
It was crazy to kind of see things dissolve with Jason, where it was like, wait, you guys have a connection, but now he's like, I don't know you. It was like, wait, what?
I know.
It was shocking for me, and I was next to her. Like, let alone watching it all back.
I think it was just the environment for him. Like, he knew me. He just didn't know whether to believe it, and like if I was manufactured.
One of his family members signed him up for the show. Like, do you know how he ended up on the show?
I think a friend. And
yeah,
like,
you
need to never talk to that friend because they do not know what's best for you.
Yeah, and I think
that's what it had to have been.
I think we picked up on that at the beginning of the season because I remember calling him vanilla wallpaper.
Yeah, he was always like this.
But he was and then so all in on her. Like, and it was so refreshing.
He stayed private on Instagram for a while too, and that was like, we were like, wait a second.
Yeah, I know. Threw everyone for a loop.
People were really upset that I called him that because they were like, no, he's just anxious being on TV, and I was like, okay, then why? Why are you on the show? Like, I just sometimes I don't understand that. Like, of course, everyone's gonna be anxious and have their nerves, but it's like if you are truly not this kind of person, you should not go on the show.
Or if you're willing to like take a risk, then like deliver, kind of like do it for yourself, go all in. You know, lean in is what they always tell us. For better for worse. But yeah, there was like lots of reservation. It's just it wasn't the environment for him.
There was a point in the season where Tino got upset that he didn't get one of the roses, and he was like, I hit all my marks or something like that.
It's literally ridiculous. Like, so many things that we didn't see.
So like, watching that back, are you like, that was a red flag?
I mean, I think a lot of the boys were picking up on like behavior. Like, that's sort of similar to something we went through on our season, and it just was never brought to me. And all I know is this conversation that I'm having for however many minutes, and then I don't like see anything. And so it's like when you're watching it back, you're like, well,
there you go.
Would have been nice for one of you to tell me that.
But then, and it's so tricky because then you're like, you don't want the snitches because
don't want to snitch
because the snitches is one thing, and because the snitches then get friend zoned because and they also get friend zoned because they're like, they don't, now you're not going to see that guy who snitched to you, you're just going to see him as like, oh, that's my
but
guy.
There's a point where the snitch, because we had a snitch last night, like there's a point where it's like, this is too much, and it got to that point where it was too much. And I mean, I would have loved to have known. I don't blame them, like you said. Definitely you don't want to be that person, but if let's all band together and be like, maybe not.
The people don't compare, in my opinion, but when Hannah Brown season, Luke P was really awful. Like, he was bad, and everyone watching was like, how is he making it this far? And then I think afterwards she was like, I didn't see any of that. Like, and it was one of those things when we were all watching, we were like, how's this guy? But then you forget that you really only see them when they're with you.
That was the same thing with Jason, honestly, is that he was having these conversations with his family way before he was having them with me. So people were like DMing me like, Jason doesn't want to marry you. And I'm like, thank you, I'm watching, but I didn't know.
Bachelor Nation, they can be
wild.
They're so supportive, but then fickle. Also they will go at you.
They will literally turn on a dime mid-episode. 2 minutes later, they're on someone's side, and then they're on this side, and it's just insane to have to be in the crossfire of it at all times.
Yeah.
How was your conversation with Avon that we saw kind of backstage?
It looked like a good hug.
It looked good.
Comforting hug.
It truly is. And I always, like, me and Gabby talk about this. Avon was always like that person I felt the absolute safest with. Like, I told my parents this, like, he truly was just someone I trusted completely and looked to in hard times. And so to see him out of the corner of my eye, I was like, oh my gosh, it was like it was amazing. And I was like, what are you doing here? I'm like, did you want to be here? Like, what's happening? So we got to talk, and just, he's so supportive. And we did just get a chance to have like off mic time, which is so huge for us. Like, we are always on camera, so we talked about a lot. It was nice, and to be able to like catch up after such a hard conversation.
What are your guys' plans for the future? Where will you be living, Gabby? And are you continuing to be a pilot? Because I was laughing when your dad was talking to some of the guys.
I love your dad's dedication,
and he was like,
your profession.
He was like,
my daughter's got to work.
Get to work now.
I think I tweeted like, that's really cute that he thinks she's still gonna be a pilot, which is a joke. But I'm just wondering, like, it's like
not
right, like what's gonna happen?
No, I feel like there is this thing with pilots, so it's so weird. Like Pilot Pete went back. Like it is just something that when you're a pilot, you love it so much. So I definitely like can't wait to go back. My dad was so pissed at me when I told him I was going on The Bachelor. He's like, so you're just gonna take 3 months off flying? I'm like, I think so. Maybe I'll make it a week.
He's a stage dad, but for pilots.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. No, I definitely look forward to going back, and I'm moving to California, so it'll be like fun to fly out there and not in Florida. So I'm excited for that. Yeah.
And Gabby, you're on Dancing with the Stars right now. We know that. I'm a big Dancing with the Stars fan.
Fanatic.
I love it, and you were absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
Already, I think people like. There is a reputation of the Bachelorettes being good.
Right.
Yeah.
But then
scary.
I also saw Robert Mills tweet Rachel that he was like, no, Rachel argued for Gabby to be on this show.
Oh yeah.
And we knew we had to cast her after that.
Him at dinner. I was like, you know what? Gabby should be on Dancing with the Stars. You know what would be really cool if Gabby was a dancer? And I was like, she loves to dance. And he's like, okay, Rachel, I literally just met you. And
she wouldn't let up. No, it was
No,
the
it was
best.
relentless.
Got a napkin
No,
leaving in his pocket. Gabby for Dancing with the Stars.
Was that like a dream of yours? Like,
yeah, just because I have been a dancer. I'm not like super technically trained, but even just being in the ballroom with the outfits and stuff, it is like a childhood dream. But he did tell me, he was like, you wouldn't be here without Rachel. I'm like, I know.
She got there all on her own.
know.
We can all see
Yeah,
that too.
no.
because there were people being like, Gabby's on, Rachel's not. How do they feel about that? So it is nice to hear that you were like, put Gabby on.
Well, yeah, and we're separate people. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, we have completely different interests, and of course, like we were bachelorettes together. But I cannot wait to see her shine in this area and whatever I do. And I'm really actually happy that we have the chance to be our own people in a way. But obviously, I'm still going to be there on the floor screaming for her.
Right.
Have to.
Please.
But no, I'm excited to like see her enter this next chapter because she deserves it so much.
Yeah, well, we will be voting for you. I
Guys,
think you
please,
were
10 times.
Yeah, believe me, I am.
We are past voters
I'm
of
like,
The Bachelorette.
I'm an avid voter.
Oh, I love it.
I really do watch
I don't
the show.
even watch, but
Deliver.
I voted for Hannah and I voted for Caitlin.
You don't need to watch. Just as long as you hit the time zone.
Between 8 and like 9:30, make sure you vote.
And I voted for Iman Shumpert.
Yes, you did like Iman Shumpert. Yeah,
Oh
it's
yeah.
true.
Who was that?
He was
Did
on
won?
Basketball Player. He won.
Yeah, he won last season. Yeah, last
Okay,
season.
yeah.
So we're very excited. And I do think we'll wrap up. I want to say I think throughout watching this entire season, there was ups, downs. We had a lot to say. The world had a lot to say, but you guys always stayed united, which was really impressive.
Yeah, we did.
It was really impressive because I don't think anybody could do that. A lot of people would do that. We always joke that we probably couldn't have done it.
And I think for drama, people wanted to root for something like that to happen. Like, oh, this will cause drama between the girls. And I think, like you just said, you guys are separate people, even though you did the season together. And it's important that you both take on your next chapter. I think that's so important because that was a concern at the start of the season. Like, they're going to be compared. They're doing this together. But to see you guys both go on your journeys in your separate ways, but still together is very nice.
Yeah,
very
thank
impressive.
We gave them enough drama as it was.
did.
They didn't need us to.
You guys didn't need to fight for the drama. There was enough.
I love that the People magazine spread at the end of the season was the two of you together.
I know.
I
It's
mean,
like how it started, how it ended.
Exactly.
Exactly, which
it's
is
the best.
which is nice, and it's now we have Zach as the Bachelor, so I guess they're not gonna make the guys do it, but
I think it's gonna be interesting. I think people are gonna miss like the double format, because there's different storylines. There's more to pay attention to, and then going back to one person carrying the whole season, that's a lot of pressure. That's
I can't even imagine.
but I don't know.
Did you see Amanda Seyfried? You know who that is?
Oh yeah,
she was like, I can never. She was like, this is the best, like double
loved the
seasons. I don't want it to ever go back to normal.
Oh my
God, it was a funny
awesome.
clip. Yeah.
So we'll see if they ever do it again, but you guys absolutely, you crushed it. You guys kept your friendship, which is all everybody was really hoping for when it was announced in the first place.
Oh my gosh, when we first got out, they were like, there's no way they're friends. We're like, we're done filming.
And
we're still
the fact
friends.
that, I mean, not to pile on, but and the fact that there is one engagement that is alive still.
Yeah, literally. I'm like, she's the only thing I have out of this. So thank God she was here. Otherwise, I literally don't know what I would do. I'd have to step out of Zach, the one over Zach. Let's try again.
Oh, and you're
not out of the question.
You're not on Paradise, right? Because people saw you in the promo.
Well, I do go down to the beach.
You go down, but not as a contestant.
I don't know.
Tune in.
All right. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We were super excited for you guys to come in.
Thanks for having us. This was great.
I know, this is amazing.
Yeah.